I am posting this video about the effects of an incomplete introduction or precautions you should take in meeting anonymous person, whether he or she is invited inside your own house or you accept any get together or meeting, especially if you don't have trust in your own close relatives or friends. It becomes very suspicious and dangerous to accept anyone close to their life. There are probabilities of conspiracies and long term mutually latent plans, and I am describing a continuous event and sequential incidences from past 1 year and 1 day. It all started on 27th August 2021 when she suddenly informed me about her plans to visit Siswan Dam, which is about 40 or 45 kilometers away from here, along with her female friends, and she requested me to accompany them on my Chevalot beat, which I agreed without thinking any foul play or future contradictions or problems. And then we traveled towards this time along with three other women. One of them is owning a saloon center exactly opposite the park near my house. And on the way towards this dam, I didn't ask about their identities since I was driving the car, but slight introduction in the form of first name and surname was given to me. But when I reached there, anonymous girl started talking, and she told me about admissions of her daughter and present place of her hostel. And another woman who is a beautician told me about her native house located in Nepal, and the third woman resides in sector 20 Panchkula, and I am not able to recapture her because I met her once when all of these women returned from Jammu, and she told me to leave her outside the main gate of sector 20 apartment along with other women. Then I posted the first video of their presence after returning home from that tourist place, but I was not aware of their family background or other relatives, business, profession, or educational degrees also. Then in few days, that girl or that woman started visiting my house again and again, and she was very close to her, and she is still a very friendly person with all other women except that beautician. After returning from Jammu, they became apart from that beautician, telling me a story about her ignorant and arrogant behavior during the tour. But for few days they kept on meeting her, and once they said that beautician is accusing the woman or the widow woman of bad character. I accepted their conversations and continued performing my duties whenever they call me downstairs. I greeted them and accompanied for food or whatsoever technical problems they are facing with laptop or mobiles. They used to get it resolved through me, and if they wanted me to leave them in any bus stop or any place of their concern. But gradually they started telling about the past horrific incidences of their life once they visited Chhat Puja with me. But that beautician started ignoring, and she was not in their life. In few days or weeks during November 2021, anonymous woman and her brother knocked the door, and she opened the main gate, and she was very familiar with both of them, and they started keeping immense number of luggage utensils in my house, and I was really astonished and surprised, but even then I didn't reacted back, because keeping trust is very important, especially with your family members. And if I would have resisted helping that man in keeping the utensils, luggage in my lower ground floor bedroom, it could have led to any quarrel or mistrust feeling in her. But I accepted to keep. In about 20 minutes, she told me when I inquired about their identities, she said she is my close friend and we met either through Instagram, or I don't want to tell that. But she wanted to search any rented accommodation. I said, where does she belongs? She said she belongs to Rohtak, and that person, that man is her real brother. And then she visited the nearby vacant houses in the lane. I kept on waiting in my house, and then I took a short stroll in the nearby park and returned back. They didn't told much about their problems or the reason behind migration from Rohtak. But even then, I was not given a slight hint about the violence she was facing in her life. So these two women, one a widow woman who is even now right now performing physiotherapy and acupressure along with beautician or kind of facial and other skincare activities in the surrounding areas of Chandigarh and Mohali, are close to that woman. But and the third woman who was facing torture and harassment as claimed by her, and I readily accepted that also. And both of them started visiting our house continuously for at least once a week or twice or thrice a month. And sometimes, since it is my regular schedule to post whatever I feel, because I am living in an isolated place, I can't continuously write textual blogs and tweets continuously and posting hashtags, because they are not up to my intelligence. Since I don't believe in creating nonsense havoc among people, I could have posted all these things with hashtags also, but I wanted to keep something in my timeline so that in worst case scenarios my close ones will witness even when after my demise. So that process continued. Even the second woman was discarded by her a few months ago. That woman used to call me real or brother itself, and she was very polite, and all the time she wanted some help for her school or visiting the lawyer to whom she came into contact for taking possession of her snatched car by her violent husband who lives in Pinjore, and that was posted a few months ago in my bicycling blog when I was riding and broadcasting simultaneously. I am simultaneously broadcasting live through Facebook, but I'm not sure the quality of sound will be audible. So, in few months, when I was feeling suspicious about their sufferings, one of the women told me about the head injuries inflicted, and the other woman showed me a dead fetus lying on the floor in a picture kept in her mobile. And she said a person from Hisar lived with me for few months in Panchkula flat when I was owning a acupressure therapy clinic in sector 20 or Pir Mishala near sector 20 Panchkula. And both of them were working partners in that clinic, and one, the husband or the living partner, was working as a bartender or boxer in Chandigarh restaurant or dance bar where she met him. And that person was very violent. He had inflicted injuries on her fetus. That was told to me through that video, or about 20 pictures, 10 or 20 pictures in her mobile. That happened about 6 months ago when she took lunch with all of us in the ground floor, and then when I felt suspicious about her past sufferings, she showed me those pictures. Since I don't believe in any conclusions without proof, but that was a sufficient proof. Otherwise, also according to her conversations, it proved that she was tortured a lot. About 8 months ago, she told me to talk with that person. When that person from Hisar was connected to her and continuously abused her of dire consequences because he had performed criminal acts on that woman, so he might be taking any precautionary or measures which could protect him from future law and order. And she was connected with Instagram also, and she told me that a person has extramarital affairs with another woman who is married, and both of them will suffer, and God will punish them, and all these kind of things. After showing me those pictures, and before showing me those pictures also. But she told me that a person living in Dwarka who has immense land in Rohtak helped her a lot. And when we visited Delhi about 4 months, 3.5 months ago, she introduced me to a priest When all of us visited Dwarka Vijayanagar flat, a person or a priest was invited to that place before our leaving back to this city. I didn't felt any foul play in that also. And the main incidents of her life was about 10 or 11 years ago when her husband died in an accident while traveling towards Vrindavan, and he owned a travel cab company and owning 2 or 4 taxis which used to ply between these places. And her stepmother was also very harassing, who forced her to child marry with that person. And after death of her husband, the mother-in-law and other members of her family started torturing, and she was forced to rent a room near her existing house in Tilaknagar or Chakhandi, where she got introduced with her husband's cousin, who is also a priest of temple and brother of another priest close to her also. That might be a coincidence or any kind of manipulation. I am not going into those things because that priest accompanied her before marriage to Haridwar, and I called during 99, where are you nowadays? He told me that I am in Haridwar. I visited Haridwar with a Hindu priest, and they organized a religious get together or a kind of salvation dip in the holy Ganges. Because whenever I miss about 4 or 5 days of interaction, I used to call her again, even before my marriage. And that priest is a real brother of the priest who helped this woman. That is also a coincidence. I am not going into those kind of coincidences. And that woman was introduced to the beautician who lives opposite, who has a beauty parlor opposite the park. But we returned back, and many stories of past life regressions or sufferings were still hidden. I was concerned about the poverty as usual for many people, not this woman is who is connected to her. And once she requested to help them reach her daughter's hostel also, and when she requested me that my friend wants you to drive car towards, I accepted readily that also. And that acupressure therapist who is also doing some beautician work with another woman close to her in Chandigarh and treat her as boss, accompanied us during the last moments. She wanted to provide some cosmetics in Ponta Sahib to a person, and then I halted the car, and that person came and took those cosmetics away. I was introduced to the 4th woman that day who visited our house today itself. That might also be a coincidence. I am not claiming that also. So, 2 of the women were already apart, and the 3rd woman appeared in her life, who is the boss of that woman, as claimed by her. And I haven't seen that woman's office or house also. I haven't seen anyone's office or house till now, except that woman who rented a plot, and I had to accompany her brother to keep those utensils and luggage about 10 months ago. And she accompanied to police stations, lawyers' offices continuously for 8 months, but I'm not sure what led to their quarrel or misinterpretation or misunderstanding. I'm not going into that. Also, I'm posting the problems faced or the precautions you should take, even if your own wife, husband, son, daughter, daughter-in-law introduced you to an anonymous person, because that might be a long-term plan. So that boss kept on convincing me to leave this house and work anywhere else, so that you can earn immense amount of money and then start compensating or helping your family. But all the time I replied that my son is working very efficiently and his salary is enough for us till he becomes well settled, and our contribution is not needed. We don't want to disturb our normal schedule, because each time I treat my presence as important, even if others are not considering that equivalent. But I know what kind of contribution I can play a role in the lives of those who are in the process of getting success, and their hard works or studies should not be so much underestimated. Otherwise, if I am well settled businessman, I know how to balance time and energy for my family. But in these times, I don't want to take any kind of risk, especially even during the past 3 years when he was studying and trying to get the internship or job. You can't compare fathers who are well established in businesses or working to a person or a father who was forced to migrate from his hometown. Whether my business was such established that it can be compared to present life contacts of that woman, it is not any kind of comparison. So a day before yesterday on 26th, I received a call from that acupressure therapist or her friend at about 9:45 a.m. that the person who helped her in starting a business or a camp at Mansouri is planning to visit here. And the person who is helping that woman establishing a camp studied with her in Delhi at a training center of Kerala therapy or Panchakarma therapy. I haven't met that person also, I haven't seen that person in real life, I haven't seen his house or parents. So all of these persons introduced by her, even directly or indirectly, are in suspicious or pending approval types only. That was I am trying to say. One person claimed in Kasuri that we don't even enter church. It is unholy for me to. That is such kind of disgusting sentence. I couldn't narrate you. I haven't even told you any time. That's why I rejected visiting that place during the birthday of his girlfriend who is close to her. So she wanted to introduce more persons in who are close to her. Whether she got help after her husband's demise, I am not raising any concerns or any questions about her character. Whether that girl is or that woman is feeling any kind of opportunity to hide his conspiracies, that is still questionable. Or whether he want to enhance those plans of torturing and harassing and kicking me out of this old house. That is also pending or questionable. In few minutes, when I visited downstairs, she was cooking food. I told her about incoming call from her friend. She told that I have already talked to her. They are coming in few minutes. I am cooking food. I was surprised that she was telling me that please help me talk with her, and I wanted to tell the plans that the person wanted to visit any nearby tourist place. She had was continuously being held from 2016. Definitely she wanted to entertain him, but they reached here at 3:30 p.m. and then we had a lunch together. And as promised or requested to me, she said, "Okay, let's accompany with us." In the way towards Pinjore, I insisted about Dharamshala or Shimla, since I wanted whether they should visit any religious place or a place at least about 100 kilometers away from my house, so that we can return late in the night and they will sleep, and getting good night sleep will help him return to a distant place in Rohtak. And I mocked that if she wanted to visit Mohan Heritage Temple, it is mandatory to consume their own black old monk or any kind of rum from their company, because that temple has been constructed by owners of Mohan vehicles. But since that person was very addictive of alcohol, he started insisting me again and again that you have reminded me of rum or alcohol, I will definitely consume. I said I am not telling that you should consume it driving bike. And that acupressure therapist or her friend told me that don't worry, he used to drive that also, that way only. And when we returned from Mansoori, from that camp or resort, BR resorts, that then also she consumed. I said, okay, you can buy it. After denying for about 4 or 5 shops, I accepted. When he came out of the car and without informing me, I chased him, and he was planning to buy Magic Moments. I insisted him, okay, I will pay the remaining 150, you can buy Smirnoff only, because at least I am confident of that. Then we roamed all around the temple and started the return journey, and I offered them chicken, roasted chicken, and they started sharing food. And that woman was seen for the first time accepting non-vegetarian food. I haven't seen that prior to a day before, or 26th of August. Then we returned back at about 11 or 10:45 p.m. and all of them were very tired. And the woman was lying at the back seat, and she returned the water bottle to me, and I kept it on the dining table. And that man started smoking cigarette in the lobby area, and I insisted him to take a stroll around the park, and we returned in 5 minutes. And when I returned back, I witnessed a woman was sleeping at the ground floor. That person said, okay, I wanted to sleep with her. I was shocked. I said, no, she has been feeling tired or she might have already slept. You can accompany me to the first floor. And then I took him to this room and switched on the air conditioner. He was also feeling tired after driving vehicle for about 320 kilometers, and then he slept. But the air conditioner was switched off a few minutes ago. I checked it and politely cleaned the filter and placed it back. It wasn't running so efficiently because it was set at automatic, and the sensor was kept too deep inside the air vent chamber. I didn't notice that for a few minutes, and I don't want it to disturb that man also. If I will remove the cabinet again and again, he will definitely woke up. Once I opened so politely and opened the screws and removed or adjusted the buttons, due to which I was able to set it to C position so that the temperature will be set at 18 degrees Celsius. Otherwise at A position it is at 25 degrees Celsius. That is not the main cause, but I don't want it to take any kind of or I wanted to remove those hurdles. I thought whenever he will wake up or I can change the position of the sensor. At about 2:30 a.m. he said that it is feeling too hot. Then I kept the fan near this position and immediately removed the sensor out of the chamber. And then the AC started working very efficiently. At about 2:35, immediately after changing that sensor, I received a call. Even now you can see the sensor is lying outside the chamber. So at 2:35, I received a call that where are you at present? I said I am sleeping with that man here in my room only. He said, where is my friend? I said, she's sleeping downstairs. She said, I am feeling very uneasy. Please prepare some tea for me. I prepared tea for her and myself and consumed it within 10 minutes here only, and slept at 3:25 or 3:10, in between 3:10 to at 2:50 I posted my video in the Facebook. That was the last post, so I was feeling trust. I was not feeling any kind of problem with that person. He didn't behaved inappropriately till now at time, and I slept because I don't want it to spy or feel uncomfortable. That will definitely raise any kind of trouble in his mind for future conversation. He will never, the person will never interact with you if you will feel so suspicious about his activities, especially after consuming small amount of Smirnoff vodka, and he drove the vehicle too efficiently. On the way back also he didn't said anything wrong about any woman, even about me also. I didn't felt any rash driving also. That was the only reason I trusted him. And at 5:15 I had already switched my mobile to vibration so that he will not feel uneasy, because my motive was that he should reach his home safely, and he had already driven vehicle for even for his own motive or not, and he was close to a friend of her. That's the only motive. At about 5:15 she started calling me that you are such lazy person, you took that person as granted and slept and you knocked the bolted the door from inside. What is the reason behind that? Why are you doing like that? You should have kept yourself awake. I said, what is the reason? What happened? I slept at 3:15 or 3:30 or 3:25 a.m. only. It is only 2 hours ago. I have kept my mobile at vibration. I have not switched it off. And if she said that person was sitting in the dining room when I came downstairs, and I started preparing tea for myself, and then he came behind the kitchen, and I was feeling very uneasy. I didn't said anything and moved out, and that is the only reason I am calling you. I am feeling uneasy about his activities. I said, did he said anything to you? Did he abused you or told you anything in inebriated state? She said, no, that is not the reason. The reason behind calling you is that you should sit at the downstairs. I said, but for what reason I should sit in the drawing room? She said, that person might steal my jewelry, other important objects, and my son is also sleeping on a said, we have provided trust to a person. Why should he keep bitching on? It is very unfair. But she kept on insisting. I agreed. I visited downstairs, but to my utmost surprise, that person was not in the dining room. That person had entered woman's room, and when I started knocking that room, she replied that I am in the washroom. In about 1 minute, she came out, said, your friend called me that you should sit with that man. She said, he has been slept. I called that person, are you slept? But he was not sleeping. He said, I came downstairs without telling me anything. What the reason? I said, he might be feeling cold in the room. That might be the reason. When that day he acknowledged, yes, I was feeling, I was shivering or feeling cold. That is justified. Even I am not arguing about anything. He was sleeping on the other side, and then that person's boss, that woman's boss, visited our house and started telling me, okay, you should leave this house, you should work in any company. I said, what is the reason behind your thinkings about me? I will never work under anyone's reference. If I will get job, I will definitely accept it. Why will I accept? And it is my own house. I'm living in my own house. Why should I leave my own house? My son has got job. He is bearing all expenses. Right now we are not in the position to leave this house. And I told her about that person's activities also. According to me, at that time also I expressed my views about any person's movement, especially if that is the first time, and that person is feeling thirsty. He should have told me I am sleeping. He should have called me. He should have told me I'm sleeping beside him also. But even then, I'm not claiming any wrong or justifying him. Not even I'm not justifying his acts, or I'm not claiming to be wrong also. Under any circumstances, that person might feel tired or dizzy or thirsty or shivering. He can move to the drawing room of the host if he is known from past 10 hours. That is justified or not, that is not the reason behind posting. But that person started quarreling with me all throughout the day during 28th of August. That might be the reason when during July I had nabbed her with some boys taking a dip in Bade Sher, and I had seen the pictures of that woman. That might be revenge theory or any kind of conspiracies that can't be ruled out also. I'm ending this broadcast. Please be connected with me and tell the views. If this video is seen in the full screen, you can accept that also. I don't have any trouble. I'm not here for monetizing. I'm not here getting any kind of popularity, or the only motives of my videos are keeping me safe from these conspiring people who are nowhere in my life and don't want to keep them also. I have lost every hope in this country. Not even a single person has facilitated any kind of cooperation, any kind of moral support to me. So that is the only reason. I am being kicked out several times. I am being betrayed several times. That is the only reason of keeping Indians away from my life. And even if they exist, their schedule and presence or talks or activities will ever be exposed like these videos or tweets or posts throughout the end of my life.